Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for Capricorn season 2025, obviously bridging the turn of the year into January 2026. I hope you are well. I'm using the Time Tarot for you today. Here it is. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via the first link in the description box below. You're looking for the link that takes you to Selfie. Alternatively, you can come join my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle platform. There you get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost beyond the membership fee. You can come participate in the live classes that we run over there, get access to all of the recordings of the previous classes that we've done, hang out with an extraordinary group of people, and come participate in the live reading circles that we do at least once a month. There are actually 2 happening this December. And I've set up a 7-day free trial because I think community is where it's at in 2026. And so feel free to come drop in, see if it's for you. If it is, stay. If it's not, then that's all absolutely fine too. Anywho, with all of that out of the way, Libra, let's have a look and see what's been going on with you. Now, normally when I do these readings and I'm looking at your recent past, as I say, we're looking at, the point from this morning when you got up, possibly, to anywhere near to about 6 weeks in the past. I'm doing it slightly differently for this reason, for this season rather, because we are right at the end of the year, and it's more like a retrospective. Like, what have we learned over the course of 2025? I don't know about you, but I found it excoriating in points, at points. But then Pluto's been opposing both my moon and my Mercury, so I probably should have expected that. Nevertheless, it seems to have knocked the stuffing out of a lot of people, and we're kind of at this point where it isn't necessarily that everything is making sense, but we can see how we are emerging from 2025 wiser and a little grayer maybe than we were when we went in. Nevertheless, we're going to have a look at that, then we're going to have a look at where we are right now, and we are going to have a look at what we can expect from the rest of Capricorn season, which obviously will take us into late January and right into the carnival, as it were. So let's get 3 cards for that past position. There's the first one. We have the 4 of Cups. We also have the Queen of Swords. There you are, Libra. That's huge. And additionally, we have the 7 of Wands. Right, what about current position for Libra? Where are we right now? We have the Strength card. That's the first major arcana on the table. We have the Queen of Cups. That's Cancer. And we have the 10 of Cups. Interesting. And obviously, that is also reversed. What about Capricorn season? Wow. Okay. Ooh, got goosebumps, big goosebumps, Libra. Right, 3 of Wands, Judgment. One last card for that, please. Thank you. And we have the 2 of Swords. It was coming out on its side like that, and I mean, I can see a lot of how these are related. So, King of Wands is at the bottom of the deck, right there. I think this King of Wands refers specifically to where you are right now and where you may be going for the rest of Capricorn season. So we're going to leave him there for just a moment, and we're going to perform this little, is it a post-mortem? I don't know. Let's call it a retrospective because it's a little less macabre, right? In terms of what 2025 has been about for you. The very first card out is this 4 of Cups, which is not a comfortable card. It's not a fun card. It's foundational for sure because it's numbered 4. But generally when this card comes up, it feels like, specifically in your case actually, it feels like the push-pull of everything around rejection. So it feels very much like trying to show up. But that not necessarily being received terribly well for whatever reason. Why would that be the case? That's really interesting, Libra. Like there's a very, very strong sense here that it has been a lot about you trying to show up, not just for yourself, but for other people too. I mean, the Seven of Wands is a card of protection. It's a card of looking after. It's Mars in Leo, right? So there's actually something kind of big about the way that somebody is trying to show up when the Seven of Wands is there. It's less about quiet support in the background and more like being an advocate for, at the very least, being an advocate for, or trying to defend, trying to protect people. But again, there you are right in the center, and it's almost like you've been trying to do this for other people and you try to do it for yourself as well. And somewhere in the middle, there's needed to be this balance. I mean, I feel like there have been some tough lessons learned by Libra this year in terms of, and it could come down to what is worth defending. You know, this Four of Cups in the midst of everything makes it a little bit tricksy. Let me put these cards like this, actually, just so that we can see that they are all speaking to the same thing. Let's get some clarifiers for that. What do we have here? We have the Justice card. There's Libra again. We have Eight of Wands reversed. Interesting. And the Moon. Death is at the bottom of the deck. Right here. Now this bottom of the deck card, the shadow card, is kind of like the underlying theme for what's going on the surface, right? So we have themes of transformation, we have themes of change. You know, whenever these kinds of energies show up, they're clashing against foundational principles. Unless we are actively building something new, it's often about the clearing out, creating space. So there's this sense here that you've been trying to show up like a warrior all year, Libra, and trying is probably not very fair. You have been showing up as a warrior all year. But I get the feeling that whatever you've been trying to do, it hasn't had the levels of success that you hoped for. Maybe it might have been a little bit of everything, right? There's been a few wins here and quite a few losses over here, and we would hope that somewhere along the line these things have at least balanced out a little bit. But it seems to have really challenged you on this foundational emotional level. Not in terms of what your core values are, but more about developing discernment around what you can change and what you can't. And that can be a really, really tough lesson sometimes. You know, we have the Moon card here. It's another emotional card. But where the Moon is involved, things are obfuscated, right? Things aren't entirely clear. And although your intentions may have been clear every time you have shown up, every time you have tried to defend, every time you've tried to step in and positively influence something for other people, it's almost been like a 50-50 as to whether it's going to land or not. We don't usually see the Queen of Swords garbed up in armour like that. She's normally sat in a throne with her sword of truth, you know, kind of holding that, beckoning someone in. But here, it's like you've had to don the armour, because to keep going into the flame, not being sure how it's going to be received, not being sure if it's going to have the outcome that you need. It's like it's been a really tough lesson all year in saying just because you will it to be so, it doesn't mean that that's how it's going to show up, because so much is contingent on what the other people are thinking. I think your relationships may have been difficult. Those close relationships may have been difficult this year, not necessarily with your spouse or anything like that, but I'm thinking in terms of the people that you've tried to show up for. I feel like a lot of your actions have been misinterpreted this year. I can feel the bravery. That's there with the Seven of Wands. It's always there with the Seven of Wands. But this Four of Cups, it stings. And the question that I'm asking myself with this Eight of Wands in reverse, right, where we're seeing that things are definitely not landing in the way that you intended them to, is that there's something very destined about that. the kind of lesson that we're learning. We see justice on one side, and we hope that there would be a very, very clear truth when justice shows up. And doubly so for you, because it's sort of hinging a lot on your sense of self. It is your identity that's been part of this whole equation. But the moon distorts. The moon does not show everything as it actually is. It's a very confusing kind of energy, and it runs really, really deep. And then we have the Death card, who obviously represents Pluto, represents Scorpio. There is that additional level of depth, but there's a clearing out of this idea that you can be a champion for everyone, and you can fight for everyone, and you can achieve what you set out to achieve. Not because there's any problem with the way that you're showing up. The problem actually exists in the other people. Well, that's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It doesn't feel controlling as it's coming from your point, but I wonder if it's been perceived that way by other people. You know, if this Eight of Wands had shown up the right way up, I would have said that it was very, very clear that your actions and your words and your intent had been interpreted correctly. And instead what we see is this distortive energy where things are not landing, the communication isn't quite right. I don't feel like that's coming from you. I think that's coming from the people that you're with. And the Death card could be a clearing of those people full stop from your life in 2025. But it's more likely that actually what we've got is a dialogue going on between these emotional cards here that is asking why it is that you feel you need to fix things for everyone. Now, if, you know, the person that you've been trying to show up for, the person that you've been trying to help is a spouse, is a child, is a parent, is something like that, well, then the answer is there. Obviously, that's why you're trying to show up. But the Four of Cups suggests that there is a rejection sensitivity here, almost to the extent that it feels like you're trying to make up for something, or you have been trying to make up for something. And that's kind of been like the underlying motivator for the energy that you've put out this year. And I think there has been a cost to you. And the fact that you've put the armor on means you're willing to keep paying it, right? These relationships are that important to you. But there is a question of whether the discernment has been correctly exercised in recognizing where the line is. Where is the line where it begins to cost you more than is right, than is fair, than is just? You could definitely see that sort of situation if you were dealing with, well, I think you have been dealing with, you know, parents, spouses, children. It feels more like it's been a theme for the entire year for you. Like there's the King of Wands as you trying to show up for everyone. Probably doing a fairly good job on the face of it. But there are stirrings that have been going on internally that have had you questioning a lot of things. Now, it could be your energy levels. It could be the extent to which you've been made to feel like you're interfering. I guess it feels like 2025 has been a bit of a soup for you. All ruled by this feeling of wanting to do the right thing. And it not being received on the whole in that same sort of way. Now, we have Leo and Virgo here. These signs may be important to you, possibly. We also have Cancer down there, right? Scorpio. But it feels like something's been subtly changing in you, Libra, over the course of this year. And it feels a little bit like a relinquishing of control as you started to understand that the cost you're paying is too much. You may feel like whatever you've been dealing with this year, it's kind of taken over your life, and this Hermit card feels like a natural pulling in while you work through what it is that this year has showed you. Page of Cups in reverse. There's something incredibly frustrating about all of these cards put here together. but there's something really deep that's shifting internally in terms of the extent to which it's your responsibility. Now, I understand why that feeling is there. I can feel the strength of the intent. But there is a mismatch between the courage, the bravery, the intent, the goodwill, and the way that it's being received. It's almost like someone hasn't really wanted you to point the way. And this is what you're very good at, right? Particularly when it comes to relationships and, you know, the space between people, right? This is something that Libra navigates naturally very, very well. And there's something really quite baffling. There's something quite confusing about the way that this year is shown now. Like, why would people question your intentions? Why would people not be open to the kind of transformative energy that your ideas could bring? Right? Page of Cups there it's got an ugly duckling quality to it there, right? It's almost like you've been able to see how somebody might be able to move forwards, right? And step into the light almost. And again, we've got absolutely no reception to that. Not interested, don't want to hear your point of view. And I think that this questioning now, as you are retreating into yourself, how much is it right for you to expend your energy on behalf of somebody else to get nothing in return? And I really do feel like that nothing in return is all over this. Page of Cups reversed, Four of Cups upright, Eight of Wands reversed. It's like even the dialogue isn't there, let alone a kind of emotional openness to the sort of shifts that you could see would have an enormous benefit for someone. The Death card, I feel, is less about clearing these kinds of people out, but more about deepening your understanding of where the line is. Creating that space around you so that you can put that kind of energy into you. And find a place in yourself to accept what is. I think that's been very, very difficult for you this year, Libra. Now, when we move into your current energy, we've got the Strength card, the Queen of Cups, and the Ten of Cups, which we can see is kind of on its side here. And you could see how all of these cards speak very, very clearly to the situation that has preceded it. One would hope that would be the case, right? Because the Strength card is all about growth. It's all about personal development. It is about strength as we, understand it, but it's about taming parts of ourselves so that these fundamental drives that cause us to do certain things are coming from a healthy place, and that place must attend to your needs as much as anybody else's, right? Because, like I said, you understand really, really well what it takes for a group of people to mesh correctly. I think, between Libra and Taurus, these very sociable signs, well, you're ruled by Venus, both of you, right? So obviously that would be the case. But here we've got Cancer. We've got the level of care, but we've also got this sense that all the queens bring for me, which is helping us understand the whys. Right, the queens are the internal subjective experience of whatever suit they represent here, right? So the Queen of Cups is showing up to make sense of how you feel, to show you what you feel, to allow you to feel what you feel. And with the Ten of Cups reversed, it feels like the breakdown of a certain dynamic, right? They're pulling apart, the separating of what the Ten of Cups represented, which is people coming together in union and harmony, right? So we could definitely be talking about family dynamics. We could be talking about maybe it's workplace dynamics, right? We could be talking about your friendship group. But the sense when the Ten of Cups is in the upright, that there is something that has been achieved that nourishes us, right? Gives us some kind of emotional stability. because we're part of an interdependent network of people who are all looking out for each other. I feel like this year it's all been you, Libra. It's been you doing that. And like I said, I don't think it's been resolutely shit the whole year. I think there have been little moments where you felt that care coming back at you. But I think the fact that you can probably bring them all to mind immediately, those individual moments when that happened, is a testament to how few times it's happened this year. Like, the prevailing feeling is much more on the breakdown of some sort of sense of community, whether it's family driven or something else, that has left you feeling a little stung by it. And I think the biggest problem for you, Libra, is the fact that you don't quite understand it. That's the thing that feels baffling about it all. Well, I think that the thing you have to remember is that, not everybody has a clear head at the moment. It's 2025 has done a number on a lot of people. Tell me about this Ten of Cups. Right, Hierophant reversed. This is also a card of instability, right? The fracturing of something that we thought would stand for a long time. And we've got the Empress card, right? There's another Taurus card here, but it's the archetypal mother. It is the expression of someone who has tried to provide this overarching care, maybe tried to be the glue that's held a lot of things together, only to find that it is falling apart regardless. Now, there's nothing here that is intrinsically designed to be a punishment for you, Libra. It's been about pushing you forward as an individual, possibly getting you to the point where you are starting to think about yourself not as a cog in a machine of kind of like community cohesion, but sort of pointing out that you don't spend a lot of time thinking about yourself full stop. Everything feels often like it's oriented towards other people, and there's no sense of quite how much effort you have put in this year in terms of how it is understood by others. And I think if you had been, I don't think, no, okay, I'm going to correct that. I was going to say, if you've been waiting for some sort of acknowledgement of that, but that's not the case. You haven't done that for that reason. I can absolutely feel that. It does feel like it's had you questioning a lot, though. And I think the thing that it's had you questioning is this idea of self-worth and identity in the first place. Not because the events of the year have compromised that, but there's almost like there's a realization that's happened that you haven't even really attended to the concept of that. This is how it is that you have run yourself ragged this year. This is how it is that you have kept donning the armour and showing up and being brave. Because you haven't really featured anywhere in your own thinking. We have the Star reversed. We have the Five of Pentacles. And we have the Two of Wands. And this is an interesting position, Libra, because what it says is the way forward is not entirely clear for you at this point. There is a sense that you are approaching some kind of crossroads where a decision must be made, but there isn't a sense of having arrived there yet. I mean, first we must deal with the feelings that have come up from it, and there's something that is inherently unhopeful about the Star when it shows up. There are doubts about the future. There are doubts about connection in the future. And you see it here with the Five of Pentacles. Now, the Five of Pentacles is interesting because it is kind of chaotic, and it does speak about loss. It can speak to poverty of any description, including spiritual and emotional poverty. It doesn't have to be just a money-based thing, right? But the interesting thing about the Five of Pentacles is that it can speak to a fear of that as much as the reality of that. And it's unclear from the cards that are on the table here whether you are quite literally feeling the loss of what you thought existed that is now shown to be something rather fractured and unsupportive, at least in the way that you hoped it would be, and even somewhat impervious to your desire to assist, right? Your desire to show up. Or whether this is something that you feel you can see coming down the pike and you're not quite sure what to do about it. There's a lot of confusion still around about this time, and I would love to report that that's something that fucks off for 2026. But there are periods of great confusion upcoming. But I do feel like, because 2025 has been showing us where we can heal very, very deeply. All the questions that we're asking ourselves at this moment, the sum of the experiences of the year, are pushing us inexorably towards making some sort of decision about how we show up in future. And that showing up for you is really, really important. How do you show up? Because the card we have at the bottom of the deck here is the Nine of Wands. Now, when the Nine of Wands shows up, that is a card of boundaries. Now, when you put all of these cards together, there are a number of questions that arise, and a number of questions that actually would be very, very helpful to ask yourself. And the first is, where are your boundaries? Have you been over-investing in relationships that frankly, you've tried to insert yourself into a little bit too much? You've tried to help a little bit too much. You've tried to be in there a little bit too much. For understandable reasons, because I think that there's been a clarity about the way that you've seen a number of things that would have been very useful for other people, the other people that you were dealing with, to be able to adopt. But for whatever reason, they've not been in a position to be able to take that on board. Now, whether that's because they're dealing with their own stuff, whether there are, complexities in the background that you're not aware of, that's also entirely possible. The extent to which you have pretty much overextended yourself this year for the benefit of other people means that sufficient boundaries have not been in place for you to be able to protect your own energy. And that's something that needs thinking about, particularly if, you're rebuffed attempts to kind of insert clarity into somebody's very unclear space have been interpreted as rejection, albeit a rejection that you've bounced back from. You just donned some armour and you went in there again. Boundaries are to keep you safe, Libra. And I think you've been exhausted. I think your nervous system has been frazzled this year, and that heart has still pushed you forwards. And I cannot and will not diss you for the amount of courage and the amount of heart you have shown this year. But I think there's a very subtle question of boundaries. Now, if people have been leaning on you, and is there anything more tiresome than people who complain about situations and then you give them a solution and they completely ignore your suggestion and then continue to moan about how terrible their situation is? That happens a lot. There's no respect for your boundaries being demonstrated by another person if that is what is happening right there, right? But there is this other question, and it bears sitting with, Libra, as to whether you have sufficiently respected the boundaries of somebody else. I'm kind of at this point in life now when somebody gets in touch with me and offloads, and this has happened quite a lot in the last few months, that rather than charging in with my opinion of how they should fix things, I have asked, like, upfront, and this is helpful because I'm autistic and so people expect this kind of direct attitude from me. I'm like, do you want me to give you solutions, or are you just wanting an event? Like, let me know, because I'll curate my response accordingly. That's kind of me trying to work out where the boundaries of this person are. And then that's the way that I show up, in the way that they requested. Even if I can see 1,000,001 ways in which they've made things really fucking difficult for themselves, if they're not asking for my input on that front, I won't give it. So this dual boundaries thing is, where are your boundaries not being respected? Where is there the potential that you have maybe overstepped other people's boundaries? And how are you protecting yourself? How are you allowing yourself the space to have a life, Libra? Because I tell you what, with this amount of energy showing up for other people, it's probably not really felt like you've done much for yourself this year. So whilst there is the issue that you are dealing with right now, which is the either the perceived poverty that exists in your life right now, which feels kind of hopeless. What does the future hold? I have no fucking idea, you know, that kind of energy. Or whether it is the imagined poverty that's on its way in, because what you thought was solid and stable, what you thought you could rely on and participate in, is falling down. I mean, for some of you, you may not even have realised that this is incoming, although I think now I'm talking about it, you're probably starting to recognise, if this reading resonates with you, that obviously something is going to have to change. And it's probably not going to change from what has been the reaction to your energy all year, right? But it's not coming from that place. It's got to come from in here. Because you matter too, Libra. And I'm not, like I was saying before, I think that is the slow realisation that is coming through. How little did you attend to your own needs this year? How little did you do things that you enjoyed? How little did you feel like you were living life on your terms at any point? Now, you probably turn this around in your head. You're showing up because you want to and all that kind of thing. But there is a limit. And I think you reached your fucking limit a long time ago. But because of the level of heart that was pushing this forward, you just kept going. And despite all of that energy that you've put in, despite all of that courage, despite all of that heart, you're now at a place where it's like, everything just feels a bit fucked now. Like, where do I go from here? What do I do from here? And remember that death card, right? It's about creating the space. The space is internal. The space is not external. Although the ramifications of an internal space creation could be the moving away, in one sense or another, of the people that have been part of the problem, draining the energy, right? But that's quite a subtle point, and that will differ for each of you. So, although the crossroads hasn't quite presented itself yet, I think there's an awareness that it's on its way in. Changes must be made. And then we come to these cards here, and oh, Libra, that cardinal energy that you have feels like it's kicking in hard over Capricorn season. We have the Three of Wands, we have the Judgment card, and we have this Two of Swords. And what's really interesting about the way all these cards are showing up is this is almost leapfrogging a vague idea that a change must be made to this huge life-changing decision that seems to be showing up in Capricorn season for you. Now, again, to reiterate, Capricorn season runs from around about the winter solstice through to late January. Yeah, or thereabouts, right? Where we have a certain amount of inaction, a certain amount of stasis here in your current moment, it is replaced with the energy of action, of movement, of the exercising of an energy that you were kind of mildly contemplating before, to actually doing the thing. It feels like it's a very, very quick decision that's made. And the fascinating thing about it is, judgment is a big fucking energy. It's a push. It's a do or die. Make some fucking decision right now and own it. It is about the need to make a judgment. It is the need to make a decision. This Two of Swords, though, it's kind of sitting there with I still don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what any of this is about. It's almost like a point of hitting your limit with the way that you feel about yourself and going, no, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to do something else, maybe anything else. And I don't even really know what it is. And that's the important thing, because this is not about something that is being scrupulously planned, recognizing that you are at a crossroads and going, okay, well, I'm going to sit here and deliberate internally which one of the routes that is open to me, available to me, is the one that I am going to take, commit to that, and then start walking in that way. What we've got is the kind of vague notion that a decision needs to be made, something needs to change, you need to start centering yourself a little bit, but I don't really know how to do it, that kind of energy, to all of a sudden, fuck it, I'm doing the thing. Still, with the fog of, I have absolutely no idea or why I'm doing it, but my God, it is being done. Now, I want to clarify this judgment card specifically, because sometimes when this shows up, it's because the major arcana cards are like the way that universal pressures kind of try and nudge us into certain situations. Sometimes the judgment card can act as a catalyst. It's like, not necessarily crisis, but there is an urgency around making a decision right now that is going to change everything, right? Change your life in some sort of meaningful way. Sometimes that can even be a thought, right? How about a judgment card? We have the Five of Wands. Fucking Two of Swords. And the Star. Wow. Okay. This feels like it's coming from like a bolt from the blue. It's not exactly a tower. Libra. This is the important thing. It's not exactly a tower, but I do wonder if it functions somewhat like a tower. If you've been with me for a long time, you'll have heard me describe my tower moments, or some of the most profound tower moments that I've ever had, as coming off the back of me just like doing something really mundane with my hands so that my head drifts off. Washing up, where suddenly my brain just puts two things together. And I'm like, oh my God, my entire paradigm just fucking changed because of something my brain just told me, right? Life is not the same thing. It looks completely different. What I thought were a myriad of options available to me up until that moment where the penny dropped, now reduced to a very obvious, now I've seen it, I can't unsee it, and this is the way that I have to go. I feel like the energy of Capricorn season has that quality about it, without being the tremendous slap of the tower. And I feel like in your part, it's just a frustration of feeling kind of knotty about everything, of feeling like you haven't done what you wanted to do with your life this year. You haven't done the things that gave you joy, right? You hold up all these situations that you've been involved in this year. How many of them spark joy? Very fucking few. Like, the energy of the Ace of Swords is a paradigm shift that happens within the mind. And this is really, really important and can function like a tower, because your mind is what dictates what kind of reality you think is open to you. So over here, we've got something that actually feels pretty awful, whether or not it's actually being experienced by you, right? Or whether it's just the fear of this coming in. No hope and an emptiness, right? I don't have what I need. Here, it feels like you've been pushed to such a point of discomfort in the middle of it all. Saturn in Leo, struggle, conflict. I would say in your situation, probably deep internal conflict, but maybe the conflict that you've been in with other people this year. Two of Swords. Do I know what it's about? Do I get a fucking handle on this thing in a way that I can understand? No, not really, but I can't cope with feeling like this anymore. And then here comes the Star. We have the return of hope. And it's very interesting that the Star actually is the card that follows on from the Tower, right? So the Tower is that very masculine, destructive kind of energy. The Star is its feminine counterpart, where in the absence of anything else, we are showing up vulnerable, naked, all the things, but balanced, with hope to guide us forwards. Loss of hope over here, a return of hope over here, and all coming where cardinal air suddenly sees things differently, makes a decision about something. Like I said, I don't think the way forward is actually any more clear for you on the other side of this epiphany. But the decision to refuse to allow yourself to sit in this fog, to feel crap about yourself, to not engage with all the world has to offer, feels like it's the thing, it's the piece of the puzzle, because finally you're thinking about yourself. Like I said, you don't seem to me to have any idea where you're going or what you're doing, but we do get a sense of you firing up and going, well, fuck it, I'm just going to go do anything. It doesn't really fucking matter, right? Let's just do it on a day-by-day basis and see what I feel like, because what I don't feel like is sitting here feeling empty, feeling like the future has nothing to hold for me. Cardinal air, always pointing the way, right? If you're not pointing the way for other people in the way that you have tried to do this year, it's time to start pointing the way for you. And that's what Capricorn season is all about here. This, yeah, we've got the Four of Pentacles right there. We've got the Three of Cups. Oh, interesting. We've got the fucking Judgment card again. Like, this feels almost Uranian, Libra. Because I think you've put so much energy in trying to maintain the status quo for everyone, right? We see it here. And what has the effect of that been? This. Despite all of your best efforts, despite everything that you've brought to the table, it's still doing that. Or maybe it was supposed to do that. Maybe the only thing that's had it perpetuating for as long as it has been the effort that you've put in. Now, your ability to put in effort hasn't gone anywhere, Libra. It hasn't. You just forgot to put the effort in for you. Everybody else's needs seems to have surpassed even your own recognition that you have needs. This is all changing right here at this point, and it's not just changing in mind, and that's the another really important part of this, Libra, is changing in action as well, because we see this almost instantaneous spin around in the way that you have been doing it, where you felt stuck, all of this kind of thing, to quite literally a sort of fuck it kind of energy. No, I'm going to start doing something else. I refuse to accept feeling crap that this isn't working for other people anymore. I'm going to start doing what feels right for me, and I'm going to start doing it immediately, right? Three of Wands represents things like travel, for sure. But at its heart, it's not an energy of sitting still. It's an energy of experiencing. It's like getting out there and doing things, you know, and this could take all sorts of different forms for you, Libra. It could be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to join a gym, or fuck it, I'm going to join a group of people who do things that I love, right? Or I want to know more about like a, I don't know, fucking cooking class or pottery or something, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like there's this desire to take your energy where it has been sitting stagnant and feeling really fucking crap for a while and go, no, 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 I'm going to start funneling this into something that feels good for me. Me being the operative word here. Judgment, judgment. Don't know necessarily what it is, don't know necessarily where you're going, but the point is that you are going, you are doing, you are moving, you are acting. It's thoughts and actions aligning during this season. And this feels like such a fucking vibe shift for you, Libra. I can't even tell you. I mean, we've got the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck there. That for me is a card of grounded emotions. It's a card of finding that balance. To me, actually, the Six of Pentacles, interestingly enough, is a lower echo of the Justice card, because it is that which is within our control to balance. Everything's felt off this year because the energy almost, it hasn't been put into the wrong place, but like the underlying lesson, the thing that the universe was trying to teach you was, as is always the case, something slightly adjacent to what you thought it was. And the level of alignment here, the level of certainty here, even against the midst of a backdrop that is entirely fucking confusing, feels really good. Feels like it's enough. We're going to do this, we're going to go this way. This is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to love this for you, Libra, I really do. So, and I leave it here. I'm going to go to the extended. If you would like to join me, you're very welcome to do so. The links are in the description box below. Remember, there is a 7-day free trial for Circle, so if you fancy coming and having a look, see what it's all about, feel free to avail yourself of that. But if this is where we part ways, that's all cool. Just know that this feeling that you have, it's not going to last much longer, but it's actually kind of necessary. Because without that internal tension, you're never going to bust out of the funk, right? Universe makes us uncomfortable so that we move. And you've been feeling uncomfortable. Now comes the movement. All right. Know that I love you all very, very much. I'll see you soon.